All right, I'm just letting it play.
Let it play.
Okay. I think those little icons at the beginning are like a code.
We should definitely, after this episode, I'm going to make a note of it so we can look it up.
It's
emojis.
Yeah, so little emojis, and it's got like either an X or like a plus in the middle, and then like another emoji.
So maybe,
I feel like the ones that we saw were different from the ones from the free. Okay, yeah.
I'm making a note. We're looking into that. Awesome.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a refill, BRB.
Yep, me too.
I'm ready.
It's so pretty. those boots on. No. That is awesome. Whoa, bro. This one kicked the other one's ass.
I think it is much better for world building than the other one.
Oh, well, okay. So you took the lead on the last one, so I'm gonna take the lead here because I got so much to say. I'm so excited.
Go for it.
Number one thing. This has surprising emotional depth. We were talking about attachment to characters, you know, and what they could create in like what was this, 8 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I found myself really attached to these characters in that short amount of time, right?
That was fast.
Do what?
That was fast.
I know, but like, check it out. There's a reason for that, right? This is high stakes from the get-go. They're in movement the entire time. Also, from minute one, they're establishing the relationship in the group. In the first few seconds, you already know how close this group is. So you know that this is a family. They build these connections and these relationships so very quickly here. And they start eliminating them very significantly. Very significantly. This is an insane emotional roller coaster. So towards the end, when you get, because, you know, they're all dead and it's like, oh, you know, but mission accomplished. And then they come back and you're like, oh, snap. And for once, I'm surprised that there's a happy ending. Because at this point, I'm trained to expect something miserable. Oh, they all died. Oh, whatever. Surprisingly happy ending, right? Surprisingly like, oh, this wasn't a big deal, bro. Like, it's fine. You overreact. Oh, it's no big deal. Like, it's fine. It's cool. That was amazing. I love that the happy was the twist here. I love that the happy was the twist. That is so rare these days. That's so great. That is so great. That is what they did there was insane. Insane. Wow. Yeah, I'll hand it off to you. I got more thoughts, but I'll hand it off to you. That I really dug that.
No, yeah,
like Mad Max feel the entire time. Just awesome.
No, they definitely did a good job of condensing. I mean, considering condensed, the whole thing was to still be able to portray the closeness between the characters was pretty impressive because it starts out just like the previous episode where like they just drop you right in the middle of the action. There's no exposition. You're just right in the middle of it right from the get-go. What they do is that once they start killing these characters off, they show like what an emotional impact it has on the rest of them.
Exactly.
On the previous episode, it's just, you know, a couple of mercenaries and scientific, and they just got thrown together as part of a team. But these guys have obviously been a crew for a while, so yeah, and it has like kind of this Ocean's 11 kind of feel where they are invested in each other.
Yeah.
It was what I did really like about it, and it was immediately apparent, is it had it felt like those kind of 50s, 60s kind of sci-fi.
Oh yeah.
Where like the kind of stuff that ends up on like Mystery Science Theater,
Oh
where it was
sure,
like,
yeah.
yeah, like that dystopian sci-fi look,
Yeah,
and
I mentioned Mad Max, and that's talk about dystopian
yeah,
sci-fi.
very Mad Max,
Yeah.
very like super like retro-futuristic Mad Max. I
Yeah.
really like that look because
Mhm.
it's just it's cars and like
It's sexy.
just like dude. Yeah, and it's just like the kind of stuff they already see, but they have just these like weird things that you would think are futuristic in like the
Yeah.
1940s.
Yeah, well, because
So
and the you talking about the look, so the one again, clearly a female character. I don't remember what her name is, but when she got crushed, I was like, oh no,
Al,
she's
yeah,
so pretty. And it's because every time they showed her, I loved the detailing of her face. She was almost like some kind of like a robot type, but her face was all and it was beautiful the way that they did her face. And so my attachment to her, I was just like, oh my god, I just thought it was such an aesthetically beautiful character. And then with the other ones, I don't want to keep talking about the characters. We already talked about that. I just wanted to make a point about the aesthetic. Did you want to continue? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
well, well, not necessarily, but like the whole, but the sentient droid trope, like a lot of people like,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the Star Wars universe, it's very common in the Star Wars universe that like they have this self-aware droid that has like a sense of humor. That's
Yeah,
a trope that's been constant ever since like the 1970s.
yeah,
And this one in particular, like they actually credit him with like a couple of fuck ups, which
yeah,
which I think is hilarious. But also it's I don't know I think it's great that it's continued into this
yeah.
century because it's if you think back even in the Star Wars like obviously C-3PO and R2D2 that's not where originated, but it's a continuation of the trope like in like 2001 The Space Odyssey you have Hal
I
where
have
you
one in
have
the
like
90s. I have one in the 90s. The Power Rangers, bro. Alpha.
oh
Alpha.
yeah of course
So interestingly enough, you were talking about this trope, and I think of the Power Rangers because as I'm watching, I'm sure you noticed the super cheesy one-liners during the fight scenes. That's my friend you just dismembered, and like
yeah
there were a couple of others, and that was like such a '90s thing, and a lot of these like action ninja
yeah
movies, like in the Power Rangers, Kimberly, and this is like the secret or the secret of the ooze or the mystery of the ooze or whatever. And
mhm.
when they're having like some of their first fight scenes, Kimberly is like fighting with the putties or whatever, and she's like, "Have a nice trip," and and then she goes, "See you next fall," and the other guy fall, and it's like that's exactly what I was like seeing here, and so it's funny that they also included that like humorous AI robot trope that you mentioned. So there's like multiple of those elements here.
Yeah. But it wasn't meant to be funny at the time.
Well,
It was just cool like
well,
walk off
of course,
language.
but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that this is not alluding to it. How they're
No,
you
yeah,
of course they're
it's
using
alluding
it.
to it.
Yeah, of course they're using it differently, but it's still coming from the same place. Like it's like
Yeah.
textbook. It's textbook. And well, I mean, I would venture to say that when they were actually writing the Power Rangers, they knew that they like, come on, what do you? Oh, yeah, this is gonna be dope. This is so dope. Have a nice trip. Badass, badass. See you next fall.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, John. Yes, perfect. Like they knew it was gonna get like a bit of a giggle, at least for the adults, right? Even because kids are watching with their parents sometimes or whatever. And even as a kid, I was like, ha ha, clever, So like using it differently certainly, but I love that, like you say, that the roots are there and that it culminates in this now, right? Like it all culminates in this very awesome and unique expression with its own original aesthetic, because it combines all of these things to make up its own thing, right? So I'm not gonna lie, I like this blind spot one way more than Sucker of Souls. Like most, I think
Well, we
it's
should
because
definitely
maybe
like
it
I
just
mean
surprised me more. Maybe it just like surprised me more.
and like imagine how much more there is to unpack in some of the longer episodes.
Mm,
Like but like like yeah, there's a lot of tropes and just like really stupid, like stuff that we consider stupid now, packed into these shorter episodes. Like we could talk about how, like, at what point in history did like movie producers and show producers start to realize that those kind of like walk off one-liners were starting to sound kind of cheesy.
Well, I mean, okay, so
Like who knows? Who knows?
well,
Like we don't know. There's
well, we don't, but I do have like a little insight that might help if you want to hear it. I don't need to tell you, but I
well,
do
of course
have.
I do, yeah.
Well, I mean, just from from what I've studied, I can tell you that like these films that are very like satirical and hey, what's the synonym for satirical that you hear all the time? Satire, and you know what I'm talking about?
Irony.
No, not irony. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Satire. It's like a synonym for it, but not really. Oh God.
I mean, we're including stuff like RoboCop and like those super.
No, I'm gonna. I have a point. I swear. I just need to remember what like the synonym that I'm trying to remember is. It's a synonym to satire used to describe types of films, right? That are making this kind of that are making this use of humor. But there's a difference.
Allegorical?
No. Oh my God. Oh God. You know what? I might have to look up like my essay. Hmm. How about you talk? I'll get back to my point because I need to find what this word is.
I got some serious RoboCop vibes from this short as well, because RoboCop is also a kind of satirical, absurdist kind of representation of like all sorts of stuff, like over policing and a lot of political overtones, and it encompasses all of that into this just weird, like hyper masculine, just ball of. Well, I mean, I don't know. Insert word here, but yeah, but it's the same kind of thing where like you insert technology and futuristic uh, stuff into like a fantastical kind of structure where like people can just do whatever, and I think this episode does satirize a lot of it.
Yeah. So, oh my God, I'm dying right now, not being able to. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm about to like text Kevin and ask him, or like actually look up my paper, like find my book that I need to. But I wanted to comment a little bit on, because we were talking about the tropes, right? And you were talking about the RoboCop. Mm-hmm. But so when I was watching it, other than Mad Max, I was also thinking Western. This is all very rooted in the Western. This heist of kind of like a train, and you're creeping up on it, and you're jumping from one thing to another, and the explosion. Like you have this awesome throwback to that, which is really dope. I'm like dying right now. I cannot believe that I cannot figure this. You have no idea how much this is killing me right now. Oh my God. Okay.
Well, it's one of the few times where just having like one of those like sudden happy endings, it does fit.
It does fit.
Because sometimes it feels like you're just giving the audience what they want, which
exactly. But that certainly was,
not necessarily anything wrong with that, but it's the future, and you do have this robot, and why wouldn't you be able to, like, I mean, it's a crew of cybernetic, androids basically.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be able to just upload your entire consciousness and just back it up every, whatever. Like if you watched Altered Carbon, like
or Transcendence.
And then there's this whole thing about how you can sort of back your entire self every day or so,
Yeah.
and re-upload it, if something happens. So why wouldn't you be able to do it when you have, these cybernetic beings,
Yeah.
androids or whatever, and it's and it's kind of like, and it's a humorous play on the on the protagonist, who is the stand-in for the audience who doesn't really know anything about what's happening. So so you kind of you kind of play the part of the protagonist because he doesn't really do anything. If you
Yeah.
notice, like during the whole heist, they're like telling, hey, rookie, do this, rookie, do that, but he doesn't really do anything. Like
Right.
it's the guy with the one arm who like fights the huge robot. It's the
Mhm.
it's the lady who like acts as lookout. It's the main guy who like unlocks the truck and stuff. And the rookie doesn't really do anything. And even after the guy with the Titan guy gets like his head ripped off, it's still him who actually does the thing that gets the whole train unlocked. So basically, you play the part of the rookie who's new to this whole thing, who
Oh
doesn't know
yeah.
what's going on, and like suddenly you realize the capabilities of your entire crew. Like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, we got it all done for you. You didn't do anything,
Yeah.
and don't you know it? It's the future.
Of
We're
course.
all fine because obviously we can upload our consciousness into this great,
Huh.
computer simulation. Like we're fine. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. You're good.
Okay, that's a really good point. I like that. Yeah, no, it's true. You are the rookie, right? That is
Hmm.
you. That character represents the audience during the viewing experience. That is absolutely true. Okay, so I don't know if
The
you've
only the
noticed.
only way that the only way that they could make it painfully obvious to the audience is make it entirely from a first person
No,
perspective.
this is
That
better.
would that would just be too much. Yeah,
I agree. That would be way too much. I don't know if you noticed while you were talking, my like face of realization.
I saw your face. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I remembered the word. It was parody. Parody is what I couldn't remember.
Okay. Yeah. I
And
I could have sworn it's parody.
I did. Well, if you said it, I obviously was too frustrated to hear it. So I apologize if you did, but that is the word I was looking for.
Well,
Parody.
well, I'm not gonna argue about it. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, it doesn't matter. That's not even the point. The point, thank God, I came to the realization. So what I was trying to say earlier about, and you were talking about when, producers, writers, whatever, started becoming aware of the fact that these, one-liners were, cheesy or humorous or whatever.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you is that, you start in film, we started getting parodies and satires kind of in the 60s, and it died off for a while and came back heavy in the 70s, right? Like heavy with like Blazing Saddles and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
and what parody and satire do, that's self-awareness. So that kind of satire and parody in film in the 60s, 70s is already letting you know that that screenwriters, producers, directors, whatever, the self-awareness is there. It was already there starting 60s, 70s. And when you get slashers and all this in the 80s, you think that Wes Craven didn't know he was being funny when he wrote like Nightmare on Elm Street 1, like certain things, like certain of those like Freddy one-liners. My favorite Freddy one-liner, "Welcome to prime time, bitch." That's in the third one, bro. Like this girl has dreams of being an actress, and he like grabs her and launches her head into the TV set and like kills her that. And so like they did kind of start becoming self-aware very early, which is why I bring up the Power Rangers. Like I know that when they were writing the Power Rangers, like they knew that was funny. Just like in the Ninja Turtles, you have those same one-liners. The Three Ninjas, all these kind of like kid action movies. So yeah, it's been around for a while. But however, I would not deny that some films weren't trying to be funny. Like that's certainly true. I'm speaking strictly of the ones that I know, right? The ones that I've seen. But so what I can tell you from what I've studied is that we start getting self-awareness in the 60s lightly, but really heavy in the 70s is when it like, right? So it's been around for like a minute, and sci-fi kind of came up. I mean, in the 50s, 60s, right? So I don't know. It's
That
something to
was
think
yeah.
about.
That was basically it's heyday when it really started getting big. I do have a question for you. Like, how do you think that? Because I think we can definitely say that the Red Scare and just this overarching sense of anti-communism had an enormous effect on American culture at large, just
Oh, heck yeah.
considering that pretty much the latter half of the
People still say Ruskies.
yeah, basically the latter half of the 20th century. Do you think that that had any effect on in especially in a certain aspect of pop culture or movie making? Um, I
I
mean,
mean,
I think we might be able to say that for sci-fi, but like just like I don't know. What do you think?
so do you mean so specifically with like the Red Scare or like things like that? I have an answer
Well,
for both. So
well, just whatever you have. I I I don't know. Whatever you have an
I'll just
answer
start
for. I don't
talking.
think I.
I'll just talk. So,
Yeah, just go for it.
you say, you say like the Red Scare, and we talk about the Cold War and all these fears and shit. The first thing that comes to mind is Red Dawn,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Red Dawn, and talk about iconic. Red Dawn is an
Mhm.
iconic film, and precisely because of its connection with exactly what you're talking about, I would say, or I would argue rather. So, so beyond the very obvious thing of, because this is why I study film, because I believe that movies, I mean, certainly there are some films that I would argue are propaganda, but a lot of films are arguments, and they are kind of historical artifacts in that they represent how people were feeling at a time, right? And you know the West particularly, and like the patriotism here is such a big thing, and it's been used in so many ways in so many films. And they've done the same. I mean, one of the big, I would say, effects is like Marvel now, right? I read this book that talks about the Marvel formula, and it's really quite brilliant what they've done, and interesting. And so moving from like the Red Scare and talking about, because Red Dawn, right? I feel like that comes from what you're talking about. Spider-Man and all of these superhero movies started taking off after 9/11. 9/11 was huge. It was traumatic.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was, and honestly, yeah, it was a time when we needed to like be brought together and like, hey, this happened, let's come together, whatever. And I don't want to go into bias. I'm not going to blame anything or, whatever. But the point is that that is something that those films did. They outline it in the book very clearly. And you can look back, and it's true, right? All of these, what we associate with all of these superheroes, and they've been around since the 50s, right? Or before. No, before, way before is when they started. But we've also been in wars for a very long time, and they've been used to kind of help us, feel stronger, or make us feel patriotic for certain reasons. That, whatever your inclination, I don't care. But the point is that yes, that kind of socio-political element has driven the film industry, whether you want to call it propaganda or cathartic or an expression of what we're feeling. It doesn't matter, but it has affected the film industry, and Marvel is one of the greatest examples of that, right? Because all of the so many of them are from here, right? From here, not all of them, but Captain America and Iron Man, kind of basically the leaders of the Avengers. Where are they from?
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah, right here.
right?
And
So
I think you made a really good point, especially with Red Dawn, because I think what it did is that it projected this sentiment to just the public at large that they had an obligation or even just an underlying sentiment to resist, uh, you know, communism
yep,
in some way, and that basically just planted the seed that they should resist it
you
in
just gave
any
me
way.
goosebumps, bro.